Hi, I'm Dr. K, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to stop yo-yo dieting. If you're absolutely sick and tired of dieting constantly and getting nowhere, then by the end of the video, I'll show you a path to losing weight once and for all. And as you may know, at my weight loss clinic, and also via Zoom, don't forget Zoom, this is exactly what I do. I've helped hundreds of women over 40 from all over the world to lose weight and keep it off for good. And when I ask a new client, why have they booked their first appointment with me, most of them will say some version of their eating is out of control, they're not getting anywhere with dieting, and they don't know what to do next. And almost always they'll talk about all the diets they've been on and how they keep repeating the same nightmare over and over again. Why does this happen? Well, if we can answer this question, it can help us figure out the solution. So part 1, why does yo-yo dieting happen? So let's think of someone who's about to start their diet tomorrow. One day they're eating foods they love, chocolate, pasta, bread, having a great time, sun is shining, life is great. And then the next day they start on a diet. Clouds gather, the fridge gets cleared and replaced with diet foods. They're not allowed to eat the foods they love, no more chocolate, no more pasta. All of this is depriving and unpleasant. Life is suddenly terrible. And so how do most people hold themselves to this misery? Of course they need willpower, and lots of it. Part 2, the downside of willpower. If the diet is so unpleasant that you need willpower to stick to it, there is an obvious downside. It's really hard to maintain willpower for very long. It's hard to be good all the time. Sure, it's possible for a few days, a few weeks, maybe even a couple of months, but usually not much longer. If the weather is great, the birds are singing, your boss is being reasonable, there's no traffic, you had 10 hours sleep last night, and no one in your family is annoying you, you'll have more willpower to burn. And you can use this willpower to force yourself to stick to a depriving diet. But what happens when your boss is being a pain in the neck, you have a cold, you got no sleep last night, you had an argument with your sister-in-law, and your evening commute took 2 hours? It's at these moments that willpower deserts us like air escaping a balloon, and the diet goes out the window. And of course, this isn't something that's a 1 in a million event. It happens all the time because that's life. When you're on a depriving diet that requires lots of willpower, it's inevitable that life will get in the way. It's not surprising. It's not something to be shocked about. And for most people, they know in the back of their minds they weren't going to be able to stick to this diet for that long anyway. It was too harsh, too depriving, too unreasonable. And they've been on this road many times before. Part 3, after the diet. So the diet is over, but what do you do next? Well, if you're like most people and you're not quite ready to start another diet, you go back to eating normally. And eating normally means what? Eating more, gaining weight, sometimes even more than when you started. It's not uncommon for someone to start the year determined to lose weight, and then 12 months later and after 5 different diets, be heavier than when they started. This is the downside to short-term depriving weight loss. You might think it's a fair enough trade to endure a short-term diet to lose weight quickly or for a particular occasion like a social event or a holiday or a vacation. But each time you rebound from the short-term diet, you're risking gaining back more weight. Over the long term, quick fix diets are the slowest way to lose weight. They're the slowest because taken over a long time, you're not actually getting anywhere. In fact, in many cases, it's not just slow progress, it's negative progress, because over time you're gaining weight. But for my clients who are women over 40, it gets even worse, because those quick fix diets stop working. While someone in their 20s can drop 5 pounds or even more in a week on a really depriving diet, this becomes less and less realistic after 40. You've probably noticed this in your life. The short-term diets get less and less effective over time. So for women over 40, what's even the point of dieting? Diets don't work in the short term or the long term. So what should you do instead? How can you escape this yo-yo dieting trap? Well, here's what I've found has worked with my clients. Part 4, the solution to yo-yo dieting. If you want to stop yo-yo dieting, here are 3 things to do. Number 1, always think long term. Stop doing diets that are so unpleasant that you need the planets to align and the willpower of a Shaolin monk. Instead, think about how to achieve permanent weight loss. Think of solving the problem once and for all. I always say to clients, if you can't see yourself sticking to a particular weight loss plan for the rest of your life, then don't start it. For instance, if you're doing a fasting diet and you hate fasting, then it's not going to work long term. Or if you're doing a low carb diet and you love carbs, what are you thinking? Doing something you can't live with guarantees you'll eventually stop it. And as soon as you stop it, your weight comes back. If you want to fix the problem once and for all, the plan has to be one that you can realistically see yourself doing forever. So how do you do that? Number 2, habits. I had a client who saw a dietitian who gave her a diet plan. And when my client casually mentioned that she had a problem with emotional eating, the dietitian said, "Ooh, I'd do something about that if I were you." Which is like telling your mechanic about your car's engine making a weird exploding sound and them saying, "If I were you, I'd try and fix that." Problems like emotional eating, social eating, snacking are not solved by saying, "Just don't do it," which is the usual diet approach to them. For example, if you're an emotional eater, it's not enough to say, "I just need to stop doing this." In fact, it's at those times when emotions drive your eating that willpower is most likely to fail you. Instead, you need to change your relationship with food, which means changing your habits. Focus on changing your habits, then you won't need to use willpower or go on diets, because the things you do as second nature will keep your weight off. Number 3, connect with your natural feelings of hunger and fullness. The more you rely on listening to your body to make food decisions, the better. Conventional dieting is about sticking to a harsh menu plan that overrides your natural impulses. No wonder you need so much willpower to stick to it. But if you're able to connect with and experience natural feelings of fullness, then you will effortlessly stop eating rather than relying on willpower. This concept seems alien to most people because they've completely lost contact with their own feelings of hunger and fullness. But reconnection with your body is the key to natural weight loss. I've seen the most dramatic changes in the relationship with food with clients who've done this. So look at these 3 solutions. Do things you'll do forever, change your habits, connect with your natural feelings of hunger and fullness. Diets don't do this, they don't talk about this, but these are the keys to lasting weight loss. Now, if you want more advice on how I teach my clients to do these things, check out the free training in the description below. Otherwise, you might find this video interesting. It's about long-term weight loss and whether you should weigh yourself, and if so, how often.